This is entirely expected, and it's going to keep happening. The story from CNBC, September's job report badly misses expectations, with payrolls increasing by just 194,000. This is abysmal. They were estimating 500,000, and this keeps happening. Why? It's not just Joe Biden. It's the Democratic Party. It's the party in control. It is the federal government. My friends, the system is in absolute disarray. While we have this story about the badly missing the jobs expectations, we also have this from The Atlantic. America is running out of everything. The global supply chain is slowing down at the very moment when Americans are demanding that it go into overdrive. Recently, I did mention this the other day, but in this context, I think it absolutely bears repeating. I'm talking to Ian. You guys know Ian from the IRL podcast, and he said, I think we should do another run of emergency food. And I was like, nah, no, silly Ian. We don't need to buy more emergency food. I didn't say it like that. I was just like, I don't know, maybe. He was like, we should get water and food. And I was like, well, we're on a well system, and we have a ton of bottled water for our guests because we know you notice that we drink water on the show. Everybody wants to drink water, so they give them a bottle of water. And so I did decide, though, maybe Ian's right. I mean, look, I cover this news all the time. I certainly know what's going on. And I don't know before everyone else. I just know quickly after it's reported in the press, for the most part. I don't have any secret connections or sources who are calling me up saying, buy food. Well, I decided to buy some food. I decided we're going to stock up on some rice and beans. It's always good to have rice and beans, Right now I'm doing keto, and it's been fantastic. But, if you want a full, I think rice and beans has like a full amino chain. Humans can survive on it, at least for a while. And so I went to order it, and it was easy to find beans. It was near impossible to find rice. This was crazy to me. I was like, I can't find any rice. Maybe it's because a lot of our rice is imported from China. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe it's because it's supposed to come through California and things aren't coming through. Beans, not that difficult. Avocados, we can certainly get avocados. But also prices are skyrocketing. I went to the supermarket, I think it was not yesterday. Yeah, actually, was it yesterday? No, it was the day before yesterday. And the prices were insane. We three-fourths of the shopping cart was full. We didn't fill it to the brim. $700. It was like $680 something or whatever. I was just like, ugh, what the? And I asked the cashier, I was like, are prices like really going up? And she's like, oh yeah, they're going way up. So we have this story yesterday. We were somewhat talking about it, that the U.S. is running out of everything. I think it's hilarious that I was heavily criticized by the left for stating these things last year, like, hey, have some emergency food lying around. I don't know what's going to happen. I can't tell you. I can tell you this. It's been almost 2 years. Think about that for just a second. It's been almost 2 years. So this was January when COVID hit the news and people started freaking out. It wasn't that the freakouts were starting to happen well before they announced the 15 days to slow the spread. This has been the new normal. And they know that if they keep this up for a long enough period of time, people will just capitulate. Now, for those of us that live in more rural areas, I certainly live in I live in an actual community. I have a direct neighbor. The compound that we're on is kind of far away from everybody else. But where I actually live, I got neighbors all over the place. And bears, apparently. But that's a different story. And, but it's still a rural area. It's a good community. I think people who live out in the middle of nowhere, when I moved, I came out here when the lockdown started getting really, not when they started, but when they started getting really bad, because we didn't want to live under a boot. And I was like, I can be out in the middle of nowhere. I can run through the fields. I can frolic and pick flowers. You can't do that in the cities, or at least in the suburbs either. So we got out, and now I haven't really experienced that level of hardship that many of the people in the cities have. But I mean, these people keep voting for it. They had an opportunity to vote against these lockdowns, and they voted for it at a national level. That's what you need to understand. When Donald Trump was running, he was running on absolutely. He was saying, the states should be reopening. He didn't have the authority to force them to reopen. But people in, I guess, New York, what happened was they assumed that the Democratic Party that had put them under the boot, once they gained absolute federal power, they would remove the boot. Good luck. When has complying ever gotten you out of tyranny? And that's what happened. They said, please, Democrats, if we give you power, will you stop abusing us? Because it wasn't Trump doing it. Not that Trump was perfect. But here you go. Now it's been almost 2 years We've been living with Joe Biden as the president since January. His approval rating is in the gutter, and it's just getting worse. Say what you want about Trump, but you know what's fascinating about Trump? I'll tell you this. One of the things we've speculated on was that Trump knew what was coming in terms of the gutting of the American manufacturing base. And so he was trying to restore America's ability to some degree to support itself. Stronger borders, tariffs, bring these factories on home so that Americans can make stuff for Americans. The establishment doesn't like that. These big corporations can make way more money just sending their factories to Mexico or China. Now we can see Kellogg workers are on strike. They're sending jobs off to Mexico. Yeah, this strike, in my opinion, will just result in them saying, hey, look, Biden's given us the clear runway. We can easily just go to a different country and make American food products. We get a lot of our avocados from Mexico, apparently, and California, I think. This is, it is a combination of factors from the Democrats. I know you know this. I know you know that I'm not a staunch Republican or conservative, but there is a basic level of truth that people need to understand. And unfortunately, you have these victims of Democratic abuse who just keep believing it. When Joe Biden said, we're going to raise the minimum wage, I'm like, I like the idea in general, but what will the ramifications be? He then said, we are going to increase corporate tax rates. Okay, where are you going with this? And then free trade. Well, hold on there a minute. Let's break down what that means. If a company is operating in the United States and they have to pay $15 an hour versus the $1 an hour in China, well, why wouldn't they go to China? Well, how about this? Your corporate tax rate also goes up. So now they're like, if we operate and generate, our corporate headquarters here in the U.S. and hire here in the U.S., we're going to be paying 10% more in taxes and 30% more in wages. And then Joe Biden says, don't worry. If you make it in China and ship it in, free trade. So now they're saying, okay, if we move our factory to China or Mexico, we'll be paying $1 an hour in wages, no benefits. We'll have a much lower tax because, we'll have our headquarters be somewhere else, Dublin or Bahamas or who knows how they're doing it. And then we'll be able to import all the products for free trade. So there's no penalty to taking these jobs away from Americans. This was from the beginning the plan. So am I surprised to see that the jobs report badly misses estimates? No, the estimates are BS. Some random guy goes, 500,000? What makes them think 500,000 is going to happen when these are the policies put in place by the Democratic establishment? They have been extracting from the system for decades. And we had Dylan Ratigan talked about the extraction of the American economy back in, 2011? Granted, things were very different back then, but the extraction nonetheless was underway, and it was Democrats and Republicans. And because people were fed up, they demanded a Donald Trump. Why? Because Trump said, I'm going to secure your borders. I'm going to tear off these MFers taking your jobs away. And we're going to make sure that your factories can operate here in the U.S. A lot of people complained about Donald Trump removing regulations on carbon emissions. Why would he do this? Trump wanted factories to return to the U.S. So the Trump administration said, how can we do that? Well, a lot of these regulations on carbon emissions prevent them from operating here as well. You see, all of these policies from Democrats result in the complete destruction of the American economy. When they say you can't emit X amount of carbon, the factory says, OK, we can't emit that carbon, so we can't produce. It's too expensive to hire workers. Our taxes are too high. And then they say, but hey, if you do it all in China where they pollute like crazy, ship those products back on in for free. And they say, deal, I guess. What else are they going to do? When Trump came in, factories actually started coming back. Now, I'm not saying that Trump's policies were like right. I'm saying it was very obvious that he was thinking about helping the American worker. The dude had a potty mouth. Everybody knows that. But here we are. Look at look at this abysmal year. Jeez, there was a major spike. Look how many 20.7 million jobs lost in April of 2020. And then we can move to June of 2020 and some jobs started coming back. But it has just been in December, we lost jobs. How do you lose jobs in holiday season? This is crazy. And now it's just absolutely abysmal. My stars and garters, my friends. That's why I went out and bought a bunch of rice and beans. I'm going to put it in the basement and put it in the closet. We got 30 plus employees here. We're hiring more. So I want to make sure that in the event of any major disruption, we've got, food for our staff. But take a look at this story. The global America is running out of everything from The Atlantic. He says, Derek writes, is it just me, or does it feel like America is running out of everything? I visited CVS last week to pick up some at-home COVID tests. They'd been sold out for a week, an employee told me. So I asked about paper towels. We're out of those too. Try Walgreens. I drove to Walgreens that had paper towels, but when I asked a pharmacist to fill some very common prescriptions, he told me that the store had run out. Try the Target up the road, he suggested. Target's pharmacy had the meds, but its front area was alarmingly barren, like the canned food section of the grocery store 1 hour before hurricane makes landfall. This is the economy now. 1 hour errands are now multi-hour odysseys. Next day deliveries are becoming day after next deliveries. The car part you need, it'll take an extra week, sorry. The book you were looking for, come back in November. The baby crib you bought, make it December. Eyeing a new home improvement job that requires several construction workers, haha, pray for 2022. And boy, does that one hit close to home. We got an amazing crew down here building out Chicken City, helping build out our studio. The amazing thing is, it was like 3 dudes trying to do all of this work. And I'm asking the guy running the project, I'm like, can you get more people? And he's like, dude, no. Nobody's working. And I'm like, well, pay, man. Just ask them what they need. No, that's not the issue. I don't know what the issue is. Did everybody get raptured all of a sudden or something? He'd say he goes to asking around, looking for workers. People want to do construction jobs. It's not even about the money. For some people, it is. We actually are paying a lot for the workers we have. And you know what? More power to them. I got no problem paying well for a job well done. But it is substantially higher than I expected and what it used to be, and it's very difficult to actually find people. So that one hits right close to home, man. We have been trying so hard to expand the operation, launch these new projects, and it's been taking forever. We've been trying to do events, and we can barely get through. Why? It's sludge. Not only is the private sector all chaotic, but the public sector is as well. We try to contact these departments, the DMV, all that stuff, and it's just everything has been remarkably sluggish. It's like a great reset of sorts is occurring right before our eyes. The Atlantic, Derek goes on to write, the U.S. economy isn't yet experiencing a downturn akin to the 70s, a stagflation. This is something different, quite strange. Americans are settling into a new phase of the pandemic economy in which GDP is growing, but we're also suffering a dearth of a shocking array of things. Test kits, car parts, semiconductors, ships, shipping containers, workers. This is the everything shortage. This is the Atlantic, my friends, telling you it's the everything shortage. CNBC aghast at the abysmal job numbers. And yet there was but humble old Tim Pool telling y'all to pick up some emergency food, just a little bit, a week or two, just in case. And the leftists were laughing. Yeah, who's laughing now? Because these same emergency food kits are like 3 times the price they used to be last year. That's what really blows my mind. I'm absolutely shocked by the cost of food. And that's worrying to me. I can look at my crypto portfolio and say, hey, look, investments are on the rise. And I'm like, but what does it really matter? Because the cost of food is getting so insanely high that sure, maybe your crypto is worth more. Maybe your investments are worth more. Maybe your property is worth more. But what are you going to do with it? Buy the same amount of food you would have at the previous price before your investments went up? Maybe. And most people don't have investments. And let's be real. That means the average person, people like you, are sitting there staring at a bank account with a couple $1,000s in it. And what you don't realize is that every day, the actual buying power of your savings is dropping. I can't give you advice on what to do. I'll tell you what I did. I bought crypto a long time ago. I remember it was back in, I think, 2016. I had already learned my lessons on giving away the Bitcoin that I had. And I was like, I'm going to buy some and just forget about it. And then I bought some and then I forgot about it. And then all of a sudden it hit like 13K in November. And I was like, where's my wallet? And then I went and checked and figured out where everything was stored. And I was like, awesome. And then I decided I'm going to buy more. And I remember we had Bill Ottman on Timcast IRL. He's the co-founder, CEO of Minds. Co-founder, also, Ian, of course, helped co-found Minds, and there's many other people. But he said Ethereum was at $1,000 per Ethereum. And he was like, get some Ethereum, dude. He was like, just pick it up. And I was like, all right. Now it's at 3,500, I think. Those are good investments. But then I realized something. The price of crypto as it went up mirrored raw materials like steel and wood. And so while I was going like, all right, yay, my crypto is doing really well, I realized what's really happening is that the dollar is collapsing. Wood prices were up 6 times, 600%. Steel through the roof. We're trying to set up a new building for the expanded facility because, boy, do we have a massive expansion underway. It's insane. Yeah, we've been trying to do these events, and it's been impossible. And, I told people, like, if you're a member at timcast.com and you're giving and you sign up at the $25 level or more, you will get advanced notice, first come, first serve, for the events we're doing. And then people have saying, when's the events? When's the events? The red tape is tremendous. And our ability to pull off the events has just been, it's like we're jammed up. It's difficult enough to get anything through with the government, let alone the private sector. And so we just haven't been able to accomplish. We needed to do a roof restructuring, and like that should have, man, in any other year. I remember when we were doing improvements from the initial studio we built back in January, and we had a guy come out right away. This was like end of 2019. He was like, it's the best year of my life. Donald Trump, woo. And they did all of this work, and they built this back patio, and it was done in like a week. Now we've been sitting here. It's been like 4 months. And, I don't blame the guys who are doing the hard work. They're doing an amazing job. We just can't get enough people. We can't get the materials. So we're looking at buying a bigger, more massive property out in the middle of nowhere so we can do our own little mini, Burning Man type thing. Not really, not like a Burning Man, but we can do private events. And when you say it's a private event, you can just park your property on our big, massive 50-acre lot and just come hang out. There's risks there because it'll be harder to do security and stuff, but we're going to try and figure it out. I don't know. Maybe in the end, what's happening is there's a great reset before us. We know that there are many powerful interests who wanted a great reset to happen. Now we're watching all the prices skyrocket. I got to tell you, man, it was actually quite funny. Let me play this. Can I play this? Is it going to let me play this? Let me refresh it. This clip from CNBC actually made me laugh. Listen to this.
94.
Whoa.
I see 194,000. That is real low. Consensus of 500,000. August was revised up a bit, so 366,000. Let me go to the jobless rate. Wow, big decline, 4.8%. 5.1 was expected. Let me go to the B1 table and see if I can find where the jobs were. And I think in this case, where the jobs weren't is what we're trying to figure out. It was definitely a weaker number than expected, with I think the factors that were enumerated just before we went into the number being responsible here. You still had the COVID issues.
Let me play that beginning for you.
194.
Whoa.
I see 100.
Whoa. Yes. Bad. What does that mean for you, my friends? Let me show you. Here we go. How a U.S. steel shortage created a market bubble. Great. We need steel to make the shell for the building we're trying to put up so we can do a ton of really awesome stuff. And it's a lot of steel. We're trying to make a really big building, and it's really, really fascinating. We want to do a massive building where we can have an indoor shooting range, and we can do all these things. And it's certainly not as expensive as I thought, but it is certainly expensive. And unfortunately, it's massively inflated by the lack of steel that's available. Oh, but there's more. The Economist says the world economy's shortage problem, scarcity has replaced gluts as the biggest impediment to global growth. Have you gone to the store lately and seen all the shortages? We got this from the Wall Street Journal from yesterday. Natural gas shortage sets off scramble ahead of winter. Tankers are being diverted and manufacturers are slowing production as countries and businesses battle to secure supply. No fuel, no heat. Good luck, my friends. And then we have the worker shortage. Worker shortage having big impact on Michigan restaurants and customers. Not that's just Michigan, but we've seen it across the board. The system has been broken. Last year, they threw a wrench into the gears. They broke the gears, and the whole thing imploded on itself. I said it, and many others did. You cannot just stop a freight train dead in its tracks and then think later on you can have everything resume like normal, because that inertia can't just stop. So it's like the movie Hancock. When Will Smith's character tries to save the guy, Jason Bateman, I think, on the train tracks. So he lands on the train tracks, flips the car over, and the train slams into him and stops immediately. And all of the freight cars just flip into the air 20 feet and start crashing, and a major disaster. That's what happened to the economy. And a lot of us had been warning you that this was the outcome. Now, here's the funny thing. If you listened to me last year when I said, look, I'm not telling you the world's ending. I just recommend getting some emergency food supplies. This was when I was shouting out safeandreadymeals.com. This is not an active promotion. I'm telling a story, but I'll make that distinction. I'm not doing an active promo for them. I was shouting out safeandreadymeals.com. I know it's like ironic, I guess, that I'm like, here's the name of the website. But here's the point, right? This is not a promo. It was like $80 for the standard supply. It's $300. It's like $297. Wow. The price that went up, the prices as they've gone up. And you had all these leftists posting memes and making fun of me and being like, what an idiot. These things last for 25 years. If you bought it last year, congratulations, your investment has tripled. Now you've got, just remarkable how ignorant these people are. I am not a prepper by any stretch of the imagination, but I just said logic dictates if you destroy an economy, if you shut it down, it will not just restart. All of the food in restaurants spoiled. This is what people don't understand. When they shut down the restaurant for 15 days, that food is all spoiled, can't be sold. And then what? Even if it was just 2 weeks, your food is rotten. And you got to reorder everything. A loss for your business. People didn't notice this. They're just, the people who didn't run businesses were like, it's only 15 days. No, it's $30,000 for a mom and pop hot dog shop in all of the meats they carry and the cheeses. All gone. You think they have 30 grand to dip into? Even for just 2 weeks? And it persisted for over a year, wiping out these businesses. Now they're doing vaccine mandates in New York, LA, many other places. And these businesses are reporting that their business is way, way, way down. Yeah, we are being choked out. Now, I can't tell you how to make that stop, but I can tell you what I would do. Move out to the middle of nowhere, start raising some chickens. Because I'll tell you this, it is cheap. It is very, very cheap to get a handful of chickens. Get a rooster. People will give you a rooster. No joke. We have right now, I think, 5. Do we have 5? We have 5. We have one adult Rhode Island Red Rooster. We have his son, Roberto Jr., who is a mix between an Easter egger. I don't know the actual name of the chicken, but it's an Easter egger chicken and a hen and Roberto. And then we have 3 Black Star cockerels, the babies. And so that's Barred Plymouth Rock and Rhode Island Red mix. And we have 3 little boys we cannot keep because that's too many roosters. So you buy some hens, someone will give you a rooster for free, and then they have babies, and then you have many more chickens, and you get eggs every day. You've got food, and all you got to do is let the chickens go out and eat in the ground. Like, that's the amazing thing. They're animals. They figure it out. Now, you can certainly buy feed for them, but really, if you have a big open space, fenced off, protected, get out in the middle of nowhere, grow your own vegetables, learn how to take care of yourself. It is time to be self-sufficient. And you know what? That's probably what the Great Reset, elites want. They want you to go out and be self-sustaining. They want you to get off the grid. They want you with solar panels on your house. And you know what? You'd be better off for it. Now, the troubling thing is if that's what they're trying to force you to do, that's disastrous and evil. But at the same time, it was always better living this way. Cities are disgusting and awful. But I can't tell you. I don't know. I don't have all the answers. I can only tell you what I see here. And when I go to the store and I see they're horribly understaffed, they're now doing self-checkout at the belt loaders, like the belt checkouts. Now there's just one person and the rest are self-checkout and the machines don't even work. And I'm like, is anybody even here to stop us if we just pull the card out? Because no one's anywhere. They have one person watching all of the checkout lines. Shrinkage must be through the roof, to be honest, because people might accidentally not scan something and not realize it. And I'm looking at my receipt, I'm trying to make sure I scan everything, and I'm like, hope for the best. There's some old lady forgot to scan something, they arrested her. I think we're heading in a direction, I think y'all know it. And I think if you are not learning responsibility, finding a way out of these cities now, you will regret it. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Happy Friday, everybody. We'll see y'all then.